There you go. Hello everyone, my name's Jonas, and I run basically Crew Bible, and most of you know me from the group chats that give you like CV advice and best places to go if anything's wrong with your career path. Like, well, not wrong with your career path. If anything goes wrong during your career. Um, Today I've got with me Kay Abbott and Manny Moolman. I apologise if I murder your name there. From the film and TV charity who here are going to give you a bit of a talk and presentation about what they do and how they can help with your career and if any problems, if you do occur any problems in this industry. So I'm going to mute my mic, turn my camera off, and I've got a PowerPoint to play for you as well on their behalf. If you two want me to go on the next slide, just shout next.
Okay, will do. All right. Good evening and welcome to everyone here from the Crew Bible. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Myself and my colleague Kay will take you guys through some of the services we present or we offer at the Film and TV charity. So the way that we'd like to do it, there is a PowerPoint. I think it runs to about 10 slides, so it's not death by PowerPoint, but it will be, let's say, not too formal a presentation. We would like, if you have a question or query, please to raise your hand or to ask the question as we go through. There will be time at the end of the presentation to do a couple more questions, but if you have any burning questions during the presentation, feel free to interrupt Kay and myself with a question, and we'll try to deal with it at that very moment. Okay, having said that, I'll just quickly tell you who I am. So my name is Marnie Moolman. Marnie rhymes with Barney. I am the service delivery manager at the Film and TV charity. What that means is I work with the team that provides one-to-one services to individuals such as yourself within our charity and the services we provide. Kay, if you could just do the same, please.
Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. My name's Kate Abbott. It doesn't really rhyme with anything, so I can't use that one. Like Marnie said, we're pretty informal. I'm the financial wellbeing advisor at the charity, so I'm the person that deals with all the grants that go out the door. As you can imagine, we're extremely busy at the moment, and as Marnie said, we're happy to take questions as we go through. Just stop us.
Okay, thank you. Jay, if you can go on to the next slide. There's a little video embedded there, but I believe there might be a slight technical issue. I'm not sure if there's sound, to be honest. Let's see. Okay. No. All right. I think, Jay, let's skip this if that's okay. What we will do afterwards, hopefully, is share this deck with you guys, and hopefully you can deal with the technical issues we are facing with the sound there, and have a look at that. You can also visit our YouTube channel and get a lot of these videos via our YouTube channel if you want to have a look at that. But Jay, if you could go on to the next slide, please. There we go. Okay. All right. So basically, the Film and TV charity has been around for a very, very long time. Next year will be our centenary. We won't call the Film and TV charity back in 1924, but that is how long we've been around. So we've gone through quite a lot of changes over the years, but in recent years, we've really started focusing on looking at who is working in the industry at this moment in time and what are some of the issues that people are facing, and how can we as a charity help to promote well-being of people within the industry, which looks at mental well-being, social well-being, and also financial well-being. And we sort of look at it from two different ways. We look at it from bottom up and from top down. So on this slide here, you can see that, you know, there is two ways of working, as I said, bottom up and top down. So on the left-hand side of this slide, the red sort of quadrant there, you'll see the direct impact, the support for individuals. And it's on this side of the impact that we are trying to achieve that Kay and myself work. So we will be focusing mainly on the sort of one-to-one services that we provide to industry professionals. On the other side is the indirect impact. That's the partnering for change. So that is where we are working with organizations such as the Crew Bible, all the way through up to your big broadcasters and the indies in between, film studios, distributors, etc., BAFTAs, BFIs, and so forth, looking at ways of changing the industry so that individuals don't need necessarily the support that we provide, Kay and myself. But Kay and I, as I say, Kay and I will look more this evening to tell you about the one-to-one, the direct services, direct impact services that we provide. If you have questions about the partnering for change, we'll do our best to answer as much of that as possible, but I may also signpost you to colleagues or the website where there's more information about the partnering for change aspect of the services or you know, the support that we provide. So if we just look on the red quadrant over there, you'll see some of the things that we do for individuals. There's a host of resources, tools, etc., self-help guides, check-ins, etc., on our website that you can access free of charge as an individual, and we'll touch upon some of those as we go through the slides. But one of the big things we do is our 24/7 support line. That is open all through the night. It is free to anyone. You can phone it at 2 a.m. if you need in the moment support, and it is there, and it's gives you access to additional services, which I will explain later when we get to the slide. Through the support line, you can also access legal advice and also financial guidance, which they present on our behalf. We also do grants. We are a charity after all. We've got a couple of grants. Kay will tell us a little bit more about that a little bit later. But yeah, besides that, through the support line, you can also have access to counseling, which I'll tell you a little bit more in a wee while. And we also have a bespoke bullying advice service that's been running now for about 3 years. That is one-to-one support with someone from the industry who's also a qualified counsellor, has had training, works with BAFTA and BFI's principals, and also can help people who have experienced bullying, harassment, racism, etc., to help them think of, you know, what are their options, what is the next steps for them, and how do they deal with, say, for example, historic instances where this has happened to them. Again, we'll go into this a little bit more in detail as we go along. And another service we provide is the work and wellbeing advice service, which is where people that have complex needs or sort of additional barriers to progressing in the industry will get some tailored advice and working alongside someone over a period of time to help them progress and deal with some of the issues they face. Okay, having said all of that, are there any initial questions? No. You can always just raise your hand. I don't know in Google Meet how it works, but you can raise your hand or pop a question in the chat, and we'll try to answer. Okay, Jay, if you don't mind, just moving on to the next one. All right, so Kay, can I hand over to you for the stopgap grant?
Yeah, of course. It'd be really nice if we could see your faces. Just put some names to faces if you're willing to share, so we know who we're speaking to, because I speak to Marnie all day long, every day. Hi, thank you. Oh, hi, Paul, thank you. It's just that I'm fed up with looking at Marnie. I work with him 24/7 at the minute, so thank you for sharing your faces. Yeah, so the stopgap grant is an immediate need that initially was designed to fill those small gaps. So initially, we've always given out grants. A few years back, we decided to redesign that, and it was under the stopgap grant. And it came about really from people that was out of work, that was going to have to claim some benefits or get some help from somewhere, or people that were waiting on payments on invoices, which we know as freelancers can be a pain. So that's where the stopgap grant come from. That's where the name came from, and it was just to fill that gap. So that's how it all began. It's a one-off payment that currently you can only apply for once a year, and it's up to £750. Each application is reviewed on its own merit, and you have to fill out a budgeting form. So it's reviewed on its own merit. So I sit and read every application we get. There's eligibility criteria prior to completing the application form. You fill that out and that gets checked when it comes through to us. And it's just general eligibility, as you can see on the slide. So you've got to have worked 40 days within the last 18 months, and that's got to be behind the camera roll. So like, we don't help actors as such, unless some of these actors now are going on to produce and edit, etc. So that's the one-off payment, and it basically covers, as you can see on the slide, travel, childcare, essential household costs. So at the moment, it's a completely different ball game, as I'm sure you're all aware, because of the way the industry is and the way the industry has been sort of since the middle of July. So at the moment, we're really dealing with just acute grants. So we don't cover certain things, as you'll see. We don't cover cost of driving lessons or personal debt, storage costs, things like that. But we do cover opportunities. So there's an opportunity strand within there that's up to £500. So at the moment, we're getting quite a lot of people that are sitting twiddling their thumbs because they've got no work, and they're looking at other things they can do to build up their resources for when there's work out there. So we can help with courses, etc., etc. They've obviously got to be industry related and not outside of the industry. It is really literally an immediate need grant. Currently, we process them between 1 and 2 weeks. So you get 10 days from when you've applied. We'll get back in touch with you, and you would have heard from us within those 10 working days. Like I said, currently, the way it's working is slightly different. So to give you a bit of an overview, this time last year we dealt with 64 applications in September. We had probably had more than that in. So you get the odd ones that, like, it'll be the actor that we can't pass through. But we approved 64 applications. This September we dealt with 1,116. So it shows you the how the industry is standing at the minute. I'm pleased to say today I have read a few that people are now getting some work opportunities, and it looks like things are starting to open up a little bit. I've just read an application where someone's been offered a job at Pinewood, so it looks like it's opening up a little bit. Please God, fingers crossed, because I need to go to sleep at some point this year. Currently, please bear in mind, if you do need help, please go over and check it all out on the website. There's some eligibility criteria there. There's guidance around what we help with, what we won't help with. But bear in mind, at the moment, because of the level of grants, we're not as flexible as we were previously. Hopefully that will change as everything picks up a bit. But there is literally, I am the grants person, and Marnie checks all the eligibility, and that is it. We're not a massive organisation. So as you can appreciate, we're really, really busy. Any questions, anything you want to know, if there's, you can always pop me an email, or you can check it out on the website. Most things are covered on there. The opportunity is the part that covers childcare, and I've become aware, which I wasn't. I've got children, but mine are all adults now, as you can tell by how old I am. But childcare, people that are out of work still have to pay for their childcare because they lose their place if they haven't got the child in. So they could they're sitting at home twiddling their thumbs. They can look after their children themselves, but they've still got to pay for the childcare. So things like that, we would cover that. At the moment, the biggest demand is rent and mortgage. And alongside any award that you'd be given some guidelines to checking benefits, first of all, checking out debt places such as step change or contacting your lenders and speaking to that. And we try to tailor that information to your needs. However, again, because of the way the system is at the moment and how busy we are, that isn't as tailored, but you still get certain points. So for instance, if you've got a mortgage and you're worrying about paying that, if you go over to direct.gov, you can look at the mortgage charter, which can help with mortgage payments. And not a lot of people knew that. I didn't even know that was there until about June. So yeah, any questions, I'm happy to ask. If in doubt, apply. And even if you don't get a grant, you'll get some feedback and some valuable signposting, I hope.
I think it's important, you know, just to reiterate what Kay said there. We are extremely busy at this moment in time, and obviously a lot of people are out of work. We do look at each application on an individual basis, but it is important to try and look at what is available out there before you turn to us, because at some stage we do need to look at whether people have got in place, have spoken to their landlords, have spoken to their bank, mortgage, looked at the mortgage charter, which I think, Kate, gives you up to 6 months of interest-only payments.
Interest-only payments, yeah.
Yeah. Try to look at benefits as far as you can, and then come to us, because we are saying to people who are turning to us, who are actually could be doing all of these things, coming to us in the first instance. And unfortunately, because we are so busy and we have so many requests at this moment in time, that we do say to some people, look, go and do these things and then come back to us if you're still struggling, or if, it may reduce the amount that you need, and we'll be able to help. It's as Kay said, the grant is open. We will consider quite a lot of requests, quite a broad scope of requests, but because of the way that everyone's out of work due to the strikes, we are focusing on making sure someone don't lose their house. So it's quite tight. And Kay, as you mentioned, the opportunity strand, it is there, and once everything opens up again, and you've got opportunities to do things, but a lack of cash is holding you back, do have a look at this grant. Do put in your application. When it comes to studies, we only help with short courses, because after all, the opportunities there to increase your chances of getting a job, but we cannot sponsor sort of longer term courses. It's generally your shorter courses, and we may point you at the Screen Skills bursaries to have a look there. It may be that you need a small top up to enable to go to a short course, and we will certainly consider those. Are there any further questions? Sorry, Kelly.
I was just going to add, if this, so the strikes has taught us, obviously we started off with the cost of living, so we started seeing a little trickle of an increase in applications, and then the strikes hit, and it's knocked everyone off their feet, including us. What I would add to that is what we've found from it is, rather than when you fall over sticking a plaster on it, it's trying to stop you fall over. So it's educating people, trying to give you some financial education. And that's what the signposting is. But if you can do that before you get to the grant, even better. There's always going to be people that will need that immediate need at some point, but it's trying to prevent that. So like Marnie said, check the benefit checker. You'd be surprised. As a family, you can earn £40,000 and still be entitled to claim benefits. It might just be a little drop. But that will open other things. So you then can apply for council tax reduction, etc., etc. So there's loads of education behind it. And it if anything, it's taught me that we need to educate people before you need that help. But someone will always need the help. And I'm hopeful. I've been at the charity for 7 years, and the need has never gone away yet. And I don't think it ever will, but it's just how we deal with that. So if we can educate you first, or give you that signposting, it'll hopefully wouldn't be as bad if they ever strike again.
There's a lot of tools and resources on our website. We partnered up with Money Helper, the old money advice services. So, there's benefits checker on our website. There is a budget plan, etc., and further signposting. So, but there's more to come. One thing, as Kay said, what we learned is, crises will happen. It's making sure that freelancers have got the tools, have got the resources to make sure that when the next crises happen, and hopefully it won't be soon, but when the next one comes, that people are better prepared, or are at least have, in the first instance, some guidance on what to do in order to lessen the effect of complete shutdown like this one, or the COVID, which this one followed quickly on. Any questions, guys, on the stopgap grant? No. Okay. Jay, if we can move on to the next slide, please, if that's okay. Okay. All right. So besides the stopgap, we have got the Sir Horace Ove grant. Now, some of you will have heard that unfortunately Sir Horace died last week. We had a little event at our charity a couple of nights ago to commemorate Sir Horace, and a couple of people that he used to work with in the past, and some of his family turned up to that. The Sir Horace Ove grant is a specific opportunities grant that's open to anyone that identifies as being Black and global majority. So what it is, as I said, it's opportunity grant. So again, if there's an opportunity that you can take up, but a lack of finances are holding you back, and you identify as Black and global majority, this grant is open to you alongside the stopgap grant. So in essence, it's very similar to the stopgap grant, but it allows you, as someone who is Black and global majority, to apply for both this grant for opportunity, but also stopgap grant as an immediate needs grant. Again, it's open to pay for childcare or for adult care up to £500 while you are either going to an event or going to a job interview, or even that first week or two in a job. You can apply for support there for child or adult care costs up to £500. It can pay for you to travel up to an event, networking event, film festival. If you have a job offer and the interview is on the other side of the country, you can apply for support there with your travel costs. We cannot pay for you to go abroad, I'm afraid, as we've obviously got limited resources. We get quite a few requests around about now for car next year and so forth. Unfortunately, we can only pay for travel within the UK. Equipment, membership or subscriptions to professional bodies is something we would consider, and then short vocational and professional development courses. There is, there are things outside of that. That's not limited to those. So if you're unsure, please do contact us. At the bottom, there's an email, grants@filmtvcharity.org.uk. That's the same address for both the stopgap and the Sir Horace Ove grant. If you have specific queries, if you wanted to ask whether your ask will be within scope, just drop us a line. We'll have a look at it. We're quite open to looking at a wide range of requests on both the stopgap and also the Sir Horace Ove grant. As long as there's a clear rationale and a clear need for it, we will consider it, as long as it doesn't fall into those areas that we do not pay for. Eligibility for it is very similar again, that idea of having worked at least sort of 40 days. It's about 8 weeks in the last 18 months. If you've got work behind the camera on an eligible production, so we are looking for things that have been broadcasted, have been streamed, or have been in the cinema, or is slated to happen. And we can on occasion look at other work that you may have done, like shorts that have not been, that may have only been shown at film festivals. If in doubt, do ask. We don't like to turn people away. We do understand that there are different pathways into into this industry, and not everyone follows the traditional pathways. So do come, do ask, and we will look at ways of supporting you regardless. Okay.
The only thing I would add, Man, is that grant is only up to 500, so it's not up to 750. It goes up to, and these grants, because they're all assessed on their own level, that doesn't mean you'll get £500. It means whatever that you're asking for will be assessed with everything else within your application, so your budget, etc. I was going to add another thing there about the OVA grant. When you do apply, you will need to add sort of details of what you're applying for. So if you're applying for a course, then we'd need to see details of that course, so a link, or you need a piece of equipment, we'd need a link to the piece of equipment. It's just rather than an ask, but it's all explanatory on the form.
Just coming back to our eligibility, just very briefly, if you've worked in the past and you've got a substantial body of work behind you, and you've been out of the industry for a while, you're trying to break back in, our grants can also help you to break back into the industry. So don't feel, if you haven't worked, since COVID, you're trying to get back into the industry, don't feel that you cannot turn to us for support. As long as what you are asking for, or the reason for the support, is to support you back into the industry. Because as a charity, what we really want to do is to stop hemorrhaging talent, people leaving the industry. A lot of the work that we do are around supporting people to remain in the industry, but also to thrive in the industry. So if you're trying to break back in, or you've been off for a period of time for whatever reason, and you're trying to make it back into the industry, then do get in contact, do apply, and we will consider your request. Any further questions, guys, before we move on? No? Jay, you may want to plug in your computer. I'm not sure if you have, but otherwise, please move on to the next slide. Okay. Right. So one of the services that we've brought online in the last few years, in the wake of the Me Too scandal, everything since, everything that's happening at this very moment in time, it's quite apt that we've got the bullying advice service. It is run by someone that used to be a production manager, has worked at some well-known organizations, so someone that understands the industry quite well. She has since retrained as a counsellor, so BACP accredited, to understand the sort of mental and emotional sort of damage that people are inflicted by going through bullying, harassment, or racism. So what we have is a bespoke one-to-one service where you can have 2 to 3 sessions, hour-long sessions with our bullying advisor that will listen to you, will understand and be able to support, obviously understand what the legal definitions of bullying, harassment, discrimination are, be able to support you through what are next steps. She is trained up in what the law is, and also works with a lot of organizations and production companies, understand what their processes, their grievance policies are, and can help you to navigate that. Again, we are completely independent from any organization out there, whether they are partners of ours, whether they donate to us. We are completely independent. So when you speak to us, or when you speak to our support line, we do not report back, even anonymously, to organizations to say, talking to, staff members of yours or freelancers that have worked for you. We're completely independent of these organizations. So coming to speak to my colleague on bullying advice, getting advice from her is completely free, and it's completely confidential. But the service is quite substantial, as in she can help you make decisions, she can refer you for further legal advice, potentially through our support line. She can help you draft letters if you need to. The only thing that it is, we can't represent. We will help and sort of steer you on your way but it is 2 to 3 sessions there, and she can also refer you for counselling if that is needed. She can help you sort of navigate what to do next, but also how to, come to terms with historic instances of bullying, discrimination, harassment, etc., etc. It's quite an easy process. Sorry, does someone have a question? No? It's quite an easy process. You can go onto our website, follow the the tabs through to the bullying advice service, and you just book yourself straight into a session with her at a time that's convenient to you via software called Calendly. So you can just book yourself into her diary at a time that suits you, and it will be a phone call. All right, so that is the bullying advice service, and as I said, it's linked into some of our other services, which is counselling and legal advice. On that. If there's no questions, shall we move on to the next one? Okay, so this is the work and wellbeing advice. So again, it's a bespoke service, and it is geared towards people that have additional barriers, that they face in both their personal life, their private life, but also, for work purposes. We did research during COVID time to look at who would find it more difficult to rejoin the industry after the COVID lockdowns, and people who were mentioned, or people who were highly likely to face additional barriers and struggle to get back into work after COVID, were people with caring responsibilities, people who have a neurodiversity. People with mental and physical health issues, females especially, and also people that are Black and global minority. So our advisors here focus on supporting, people with these characteristics, but not exclusively. And the idea is that she looks at your situation holistically, and that can include anything from your income, your benefits, accommodation, through to looking at your particular needs, which could be around diversity or neurodivergence, supporting people to get access to work, supporting people to get screen skills, support for courses, helping them with their accommodation, helping them with debt and arrears, and also looking at opportunities, how to enhance your career prospects, support their memberships, what have you. So it's quite a sort of all-encompassing service there from someone that comes from a social work background that can support you through a period of time. Again, it's done over the phone as regular meetings, 2 to 3 months, with our work and wellbeing advisor, with a specific emphasis at this moment in time on mental health and neurodiversity. That is the priority for this financial year and probably into the next. So if you feel that you are being held back in your career, if you're struggling dealing with things at home, whether that is paying for rent, etc., getting accommodation, getting the support you need in order to go to work, this might be an option for you as well. Okay, any questions, guys? I feel like I'm talking so much.
Wow.
Okay.
He likes to talk. What I would add on that is I work alongside the advisors. So if there is something that they pick up, so you'll go through eligibility criteria to get into that service. And if there is something that they pick up that could be linked to a grant, that request comes directly from the advisor on your behalf. So you wouldn't then have to apply for a grant. It is normally something that's sort of an immediate need, and at the moment it's an acute need. So something that really is dire, somebody losing their house. We've had people homeless, and the advisors have helped them, and then via myself, it's looking at ways that we can get them off the streets and help them get some accommodation, if that means sort of assisting with an initial payment. But like I say, at the moment, it's acute needs. I mean, that would be an acute need. If you was homeless, it is something we'd look at straight away. People being evicted from properties. So although I can deal with the grant side of it, our advisor would, the request would come through that advisor if he was working alongside it.
Okay, one more slide, and I think that we're nearly there. Okay, so just briefly to touch on the support line. As I said, it's 24/7, 365 days a year. There are BACP qualified counsellors answering the phone. So if you phone through the night, or in the middle of the day for that matter, there is in the moment support available for you. You know, if you needed to speak to someone, come off a set late at night. If anything has happened during the day, if you need to speak to someone, the support line is there, and through the support line you can be referred for additional counselling. So that is a series of counselling sessions you will have over a 2 to 3 month period of time. It's very simple. You call them up, you say you're calling from the Film and TV charity and you are interested in counselling. What they will do is to set you up with the initial assessment, and then on the back of that assessment, they will connect you with a counsellor. And usually you can be speaking to a counsellor within 10 days of that initial call. So it happens quite quickly. The counselling is by phone, it is face-to-face, or it can be by video if you prefer. And if it's face-to-face, it is within 10 miles of your home, whether you live in Bangor or whether you live in Belfast. We have got counsellors all over the country. So the counselling is, you know, it is talking therapy. It's outcome focused CBT, if you like. If you have had counselling before, there are opportunities to have more enhanced counselling. Your counsellor will discuss that with you. But the main thing is that you have got qualified counsellors, and you can access the counselling quite simply and quite quickly, as opposed to going through the NHS. What else do? They can also refer you for legal advice. So it's on a broad range of matters, anything from, you know, tenancy agreements through to criminal law, if you like, employment, family, etc., etc. What I would say, it's sort of general advice. It's not media specific, so we just have to caveat that general employment law, contracts, IP, things like that, they can advise on tax, but it's not necessarily the nitty-gritty of media law. But they will then be able to signpost you on to lawyers that may be able to support in those matters. But for general legal advice, they have got a very broad range of subject matters they can help with. You can also get some financial guidance via the support line. Again, if there's serious debt issues, they will refer you on to Step Change for specific support around debt that's regulated as well. It's a warm handover. It's a nice fluid process. But if for general guidance and help around finances, they can help you look at what benefits you're entitled to. They can look at things such as your budget. They can advise on pensions. They can advise on ISAs and tax and stuff like that. Okay. The support line's open to anyone. Anyone can call. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry. As long as you feel that you are part of the industry, it is open to you, and you can give them a call. Okay. If you have any questions, again, grants@filmtvcharity.org.uk. That is the best way to contact us around the support line, or also around the grants, and we'd be able to, hopefully answer your question or point you in the right direction. Again, guys, any questions? Adriana.
Hi, thank you so much for explaining, and thank you guys for dealing with all the requests. I'm sure it must be quite tough now. I have a few questions. Like, obviously, £750, nice, but with the living crisis, I wonder if they're gonna be ever increased. And I'm sure there was people asking about that, because I'm based in London, and £750 London right now, it's obvious, it's still money, but if you pay for your rent, and the rents are increasing. And my other question is, because obviously you're saying like how much support, I wonder, like as this is great, obviously we all want to learn more how we can get better at like paying taxes and all these kind of things, but I wonder, like, there's supposed to be obviously discussion how the employers and the big studios are behaving, and I wonder if you guys are in a conversation with them, are they even interested in what's happening, and are they even asking you, like, I don't know, I just wonder if there's ever conversation between you and the big employers.
Yeah. Kay, do you want to speak about the 750, if that's okay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I completely understand that, Joanna, where you're coming from. Obviously, we're a charity, and we fundraise to get our funds, and we've got reserves that we use from investments. Obviously, that's not a bottomless pit. And prior to the industry, 750 was prior to the industry and the strikes and the way that it's gone. 750 was, it's been around for a couple of years, that amount, and it seems to be touching. I completely agree that it's not going to answer all your problems, and I also completely agree it probably wouldn't even cover your month's rent, and definitely don't cover anybody's touch the sides of mortgages nowadays. Unfortunately, and especially because of how busy we are and how much money we've gone through. Just to give you a quick overview, the budget that we had last year, we've already exceeded. So the budget in a year that we had last year, we've already gone 200,000 over that, and we're only halfway through this financial year. So the chances of 750 being increased, I don't see happening. But I do get where you're coming from. Feedback that we get from the grants is something's better than nothing. On a grant application form, one of the questions is, what impact will this have on your situation? And people actually write in there, something's better than nothing, which did make us all chuckle when we first see it. But I know personally, I've been out of work before with a family, and at that point, £200 would have been the world to me. So I do get where you're coming from. I appreciate that. I don't think it will be something in the near future that will change because of the way the charity has been pulled in the last couple of months. But I'll take it on board, and obviously it's something that will always be there for consideration. If one of the big production companies or one of the broadcasters decides to give us a bigger pot, perhaps that is something that we'll review in the future. On the question of the bigger companies, when the strikes first hit, I went into a broadcasters meeting, and it's been the first time that I'd been in there, and it was actually based around something completely different. It was the Edinburgh TV and Film Festival, and in that they asked me to speak, and in my role, it's the first time I've actually ever spoken to the broadcasters, and I've been in, like I say, the charity for 7 years, and I could see the shock on their faces, where people really didn't realise how bad it was. So we do have some conversations with them, and obviously because of the industry, that is it's getting bigger and it's wider, and we're in more contact with them. But I honestly believe that initial meeting that I went to, they don't realise how bad it is. They know freelancers and the trouble that freelancers can have, but they didn't realise how dire. And when I say by how dire, and relating back to the 750, there are literally people out there that can't put a dinner on the table for their families. So although £200 ain't going to answer their questions, it'll feed their children for a week, perhaps two, if they've stretched it. So I hope that answers your question. And as I say, I don't believe the broadcaster had realised how bad it was. I went up to Edinburgh to the film and television, what do we call it? Whatever it was up there. I went, and then I sat in on meetings, and I sat in on seminars and stuff. And it's really apparent that they're actually looking up now and taking note of what's going on. We've seen that from some donations that it's been advertised on our social media. So they are aware, but I believe that's only something that's just come to light because of the current crisis that we're in. Again, they're just my personal feelings and from my perspective as dealing with the financial well-being of the charity.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that, you know, we don't campaign as much. You know, we're not back to, we're not a, you know, yeah, I would say we don't campaign. We don't go out there. We want to be seen as the honest broker. We obviously absolutely understand that the situation, what's come to pass is, you know, you can lay the blame at, you know, the streamers, and obviously we have worked with the streamers in the past when it came to COVID, when there were huge donations from Netflix, for example, in order to help people who were out of work. So it is a difficult, you know, it's a difficult balance to keep between, you know, ensuring that we are supporting people, that we are standing up for freelancers, but also not to be seen, you know, as a campaigning organization or you know, someone that is difficult to work with. It's not, you know, it's not the area that Kay and I work in. We work with individuals. We fully understand where you are coming from, and also, you know, the reasons behind why people are out of work. Adriana, yes, 750 is, you know, in London doesn't go very far at all, but you know, it's also a case of us being able to give you some money and also to point you out, you know, point you in the direction of where perhaps there would be other funds available for you, and also other ways that you may be able to, you know, to stretch the money that you have. So it's a contribution towards your rent. It's not paying for your rent. I fully appreciate that, but you know, we will always, as Kay said, we look at each individual application and we do try to point out and you know, try to signpost or refer you elsewhere where you can get additional help for your particular situation. But we are limited in the amount of money we can give out because, you know, at the end of the day, we have to manage what we've got in order to make to help as many people as we can and still have an impact and not dilute completely our impact with too small amounts.
I just on top of that, Adriana, as you was asking the question, I had an email pop up just thanking me from somebody that had only been given £350, and literally their words are, "Thank you, that's a huge help." So I get that all the time. Sometimes I get people saying, "Oh, like I say, this isn't going to touch the sides," but we do get that. And alongside that, as we said, we do a lot of signposting. The current thing that I mentioned about the mortgage charter, the amount of people that don't know about that, and the emails that I get back saying that's so valuable, I've looked into it. Or even something as simple as just saying contacting your lenders, so your credit card providers, or even just doing an assessment of your direct debits. The amount of people, I done it myself the other day, and I had a direct debit pop up. I didn't know what it was. I actually cancelled it and it was a television license. But just to have a quick overview of your direct debits and have a look at, do a budget planner, have a look at the budget planner, see where your money's going. So all those little bits of advice on top of a little bit of money on the top of the bit of an icing, it isn't going to solve the question. It isn't going to solve the problems out there, but hopefully it will just give you a little bit of hope. We've had people that don't sleep. They're not sleeping because they're worrying about it, and we send out surveys, and on the back of that you get thank you because I had a good night's sleep. Yeah, it didn't answer all my problems, but I've had a couple of weeks where I haven't had to worry about things. So but we fully take on board what you're saying.
There's a lot of work we're doing with, you know, with the industry itself. Over the last 4 years or so, we've really tried to address the culture that is prevalent within the industry. That's long hours. It is a huge churn of people coming through. It is managers that haven't had the necessarily training to be where they are, you know, sort of battlefield promotions very often. So we've worked with organizations trying to address these issues, these systemic issues, which obviously filters through to people struggling in the industry. So as I said before, we don't campaign, but we do try to highlight and to work with organizations and to create solutions. And one of the things we've worked on a lot is the whole picture toolkit. so if any of you out there are producers, are directors, are about to start a shoot, and you want to look at how do you have a mentally healthy production, whatever the stage is, we've got pre-production, production, and post-production guides and guidance. And this we've done with your BBCs, with your Banner J's, with your Universals, have worked with us on this toolkit. As a way of ensuring that our industry does take into account some of these structural issues, which is causing a lot of harm to people in the industry. Bector is pushing for a lot more regulation and potentially ways of dealing with late payments and the rate card and all that sort of stuff. We've not dipped our toes into that yet, Adriana, but we fully understand the link between poor finances and poor mental health, or financial struggling with your finances, and how that impacts on your your mental health. And we are highlighting that at this moment through working with a lot of organizations, and also the services that we provide, making sure that people are getting the help they need, getting the small grant, admittedly, that we are able, but also the sort of value added advice and other services we've got around that to make sure that people are not just surviving, but eventually will thrive in the industry, and hopefully get the bigger players involved to make sure that people get paid on time, that people know they've got jobs to go to, and that people are looked after, freelancer or full-time, pay as you earn. It shouldn't matter. Okay. Any further questions, guys? We've hit 7 o'clock. I don't know if there's any further questions.
Hi, this is the first time I just come here, and just it's a very valuable things I've seen as well, and listening. Just my question was regarding about, are you thinking about in the future you will get some information regarding about if the freelancers people wanted to meet particular people, like for the linking. You can help on that as well. On top, like for the job wise as well, we will get some good advice where to find the things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the areas that people come to us again and again for is career advice and career guidance. So this is a particular area of interest. Not saying that we are the best place to provide that, but it is an area that we understand freelancers are really, really interested in, and it is an area that we will develop over the coming year or two, being able to look at, can we provide more, careers advice, career guidance. But again, we may not be best placed. You could be turning to Jay in the Crew Bible. So what we are doing at this moment in time, one of my colleagues in particular, is looking at partnerships, is working with organizations, getting in those, they can be large, they can be small organizations that are doing good work within that particular area, and see whether we can partner up with them, buddy up with them. We have some resources and to enable freelancers to come to us, and for us to be able to offer them careers advice and guidance. It is something that we will develop over the next couple of years.
I think we've got loads of ideas. So we're currently under a new CEO, and there's loads of ideas, and there's loads of things that we're all thinking of and we're all working on. Being a community, somewhere where freelancers can go. So we've got a building in Golden Square that we can rent out. There's a coffee shop on the bottom. You can come and have a free cup of coffee, do some networking, bump into people. So we're trying to make that a bigger thing. For myself, I think we need some sort of hub where freelancers are. But speaking to different people, the Bectors, the Screen Skills, everyone's got these small ideas that hopefully someone can take on board, whether that's us, and not saying that we're going to be the leaders on it, but just to pull it together so that there is somewhere that people can go. And for freelancers, we don't have HRs. You don't have HRs out there, so you don't have pension advice and certain things like that. What was it? There's pensions, the rates of pay, all that stuff, which could be all belong in one place. And it is an idea that we've got. From my point of view, the pension stuff is a really good bit of financial education for everyone. So there's loads of stuff out there already, and I think we're trying to get our heads around what we can do with all the little bits and pieces that we know, and we know that other people are working on similar things. But getting that community together for freelancers, I think, is a big thing, and I know it's something we've been speaking about internally. So I'd say watch this space, but I can't put a time window on that. I don't know what will happen, but yeah, we know what's going on, and we know that there's some things that are needed, but we can't do everything at once. And at the moment, we're busy juggling grants.
We are. We're also very keen to go out regionally. So we have representation up in Scotland. We also have representation in the southwest of and Wales. There are other areas like the northeast and Midlands currently gets a bit less exposure to the charity, but this is also an area we really want to grow, is to make sure that we are covering the length and breadth and the nations and regions of the UK. So as Kay said, we've got a hub in Soho. If you do find yourself in Soho, you're more than welcome to come in. And we've got facilities there that's free. You can walk in, you can go downstairs, you can have coffee. You can have a nice booth to have meetings and to do work in. But yeah, we also very keen to make sure that it's not remaining London centric. But as a charity, yes, we would like to be the hub where people come to ask the questions, and hopefully we will be able to supply you with some of the answers, or to be able to refer you to those organisations out there that can support you.
And also that is to get to hear what you want, so we know what we hear, but what do you actually want? What do the freelancers want? What does the industry want? And I think in the coming few months we're going to get some people together to get those opinions, so that we know it's not just what we think. We're hearing the voice of everybody, but it's all work in progress.
Okay. Good, guys. Any further questions?
There's a question by Sophia in the chat.
Yep.
I have a question regarding a liability for support line. Last year, when I contacted them, I was told I needed 2 years of experience to be helped. I have 1 year of experience now and would like to ask for the same advice, but I'm scared I will get sent away again.
Yeah, no. Sophia, I'm sorry that you had that experience. As I said, the support line is open to anyone, whether you've worked 1 day or whether you've worked a year or two. The only time we ask people for eligibility criteria is when we actually give them money. So the grants. That's previously in the past we had criteria to access our other services, but that is not the case anymore. When you phone the support line, just say that you're phoning through for the services that the Film and TV charity provides, and you should be supported. It's important to know that the support line provides very specific services, and that is counselling, legal advice, and financial guidance. There's a couple of other smaller things that they do as well, but if it is for grants or the bullying advice service, it's better to get in touch with us at head office. But Sophia, you should be able to call them without fear. You won't get turned away. I'm sorry that had happened to you in the past.
Marnie, am I right in thinking we've also changed? I don't know if you just said that, but we've changed the provider as well now, haven't we? So
yes.
From who you dealt with when you rang last time, it'll be somebody different.
Yes. Okay, you're welcome. Anything else, guys?
What I would say, if you think of anything, the grants at inbox, just pop us an email. I do try to get back. We do try to get back on the same day. So if you've got any queries or anything you want to know, or you've gone to the application form and there's something you don't understand, just pop us an email. We're all very personal as well. We're not, it's not formal at all. As you can probably tell with my London accent.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Maury and Kay, for doing this webinar. I do apologise for the human error of the wrong link being added on the Eventbrite, but hopefully that's sorted, and hope everyone forgives me and Joel who set us up. I do know that our email services are down, so any emails, inbound emails we get is not being accepted, but we somehow are allowed to send emails but not receive them. So I'm going to be emailing this recording and the slides that include the videos along with a survey link to everyone.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Jade, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I've got
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, and then there were three.
My beans on toast is calling me.
Am I?